Hey, sorry about that, guys.
That's okay.
Hello.
How's everyone doing? Yep, sorry about that. I finally got to a parking lot.
That's okay. Don't worry. So we just kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit more about your experience on Alarm and everything and what you've done with it. So, do you have like a specific like big memory of something on Alarm that you participated in?
A big memory. A little about me too. Like, I'm one of the founding members. So I started back with Alarm in, 2009, when it was our rookie year. And, that whole season was just a huge memory because we got so far with how well we did in terms of we were highest seeded rookie in Boston regionals, where our seed was, I believe, second place going into the finals. We also got Rookie All-Star Award, which then got us a ticket to Atlanta for internationals. So it really was just an amazing season all around. So it's hard to pinpoint just exactly one specific, main memory, but I would say probably the biggest memory I have from that competition was it was the finals round, and you were down to 4 alliances left. So you were battling out for either first, second, or third place at that point. And it was one of those where at that point in the competition, things get really heated. Things are moving quickly because you don't have, when you're doing the qualifying matches, you have, 3-5 matches before you're back up, right? Whereas when you're in the semifinals and everything, it's one match and then you're back up again, or you got like 2 minutes and then you're back in again, type of thing, unless you call a timeout and you're limited on how many timeouts you have and that kind of thing. And so I remember in one of the final matches, we took a huge hit to our manipulator when we were trying. So that year it was hanging these tubes up on a center rack, and our manipulator took a huge hit, and our manipulator was created using draw slides that were fully extended when it was reaching to the top section when we got hit. And it bent our manipulator at a 90-degree bend. And I just remember trying to figure out how can we fix this before the next match, because in the fully extended position, like it was stuck in, we would be disqualified right from the beginning and get a red card because we were outside of the footprint. Yeah. So I just remember my dad and I took over in the pit area, and it was amazing. For me, it was awesome being able to work with my own dad as a mentor, because it really, my dad and I have always been close, but it showed right in that moment where my dad and I knew exactly what needed to be done. By the time the bot was in the pit, my dad and I had the right Allen wrenches ready to go to get a whole new draw slide into place. And we did a whole swap out of our upper manipulator arm in less than 2 minutes to get back into competition. And it was one of those moments of like, whoa, this is unbelievable that we're doing all of this, but also just like a memory that I'll always have, where it's just like just working with my dad side by side with him, and in the heat of the moment type of thing, and just knowing he's taught me so much over the years, even before I was part of the team, to be able to to be able to like all of a sudden function under a lot of pressure with a lot of the team looking on us, but then also pulling out and being successful. So I believe we ended up finishing in 3rd place overall that year with the Boston Regionals. So that would probably be one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
But what do you do for your job now?
So my job, I actually kind of took the swing of robotics and being part of the team to a different level, where I work as right now I'm now a clinical nurse educator over at Newton Wellesley Hospital. But prior to that, I got over 7 years or so of ICU level experience working in a trauma 1 ICU as a nurse. And a lot of what I do on a regular basis is that triaging and that troubleshooting that you learn in the robotics team, right? Like
Right.
you guys might be working with metal on a regular basis with the team. I'm working with bones, you know. You might be working with, well, with the robots, you're not working with fluid, but you know, I got blood and all that kind of stuff. You know, my electrical wires, those are my IV tubing, you know, that kind of thing. And so it really does cross over in so many ways. In fact, over the years, I've mentored a couple of past members. We have 2 or 3 that have since gone on to the medical field as well. One who's currently doing residency right now to be a doctor. And then I think one who's in med school now, and another one that is a nurse as well. So it's, you know, the fundamentals that you learn from being part of this team, well beyond just engineering. It really truly is the sciences and just life lessons that will take you so far in your careers, no matter where you end up.
That's really cool. I, I really like how you made all the connections with like the IV tubes and the electrical wiring. I never thought about it that way.
You know, my patients all say it that way too, because like I'll walk into a patient's room and try to explain something to them and they don't understand it at all. And I'll turn to them and I'll be like, "Are you a cars person?" Sometimes they'll be like, "Yep, I'm a car person."
Yeah.
And you can just relate the human body to a car, right? Or, you know, even as I just did it with the robots, you really can, you know, and it makes it so simplified for anybody to really understand it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I think honestly, our first year where we were so successful coming out the bat, where you know we were highest seeded rookie, we were rookie all stars. Those were huge shoes to fill, right? Like we had such great success that first year, and I think watching the team evolve, it's actually really interesting seeing where the team is today. Because I've still, even though I'm not super active this year as a mentor, and the previous year, you know, it's one of those where I definitely in the future plan to be more involved as well, and still being on the outskirts of it and still being tied into the team still as a mentor. I've seen the team evolve in so many ways, where from that year of such success to years of struggling a little bit to be successful in competitions and such, to where the team is now, where we have such a competitive mindset again. It's amazing to see that, right? Like it's awesome to see the hemmings and flows of it. For years after we've had such a successful year, it was, we just want to have fun. You know, let's design something that just is cool and has fun. Whether it competes, that's a different story, but like, let's have it be fun. You know, I think the last couple of years I've seen the team, it's really, no, we want to get back to that competitive atmosphere. We want to bring that trophy home. We want to, you know, pardon me for stealing it from the Patriots, but do our job, you know, get that trophy and bring it home. You know, we've come so close to it in the past and it's slipped away from us, you know. And I think what's really cool too, just watching the whole FIRST robotics community as a whole, you have teams from all sorts of backgrounds that come in. You have teams like ours, which is, I don't want to say like a ragtag team per se, but like a team of students that come from pretty much all different backgrounds. You also have teams like the Neutrons that have huge funding behind them. And, you know, what I find is amazing is that a team that doesn't have major funding, that doesn't have access to, you know, a full-on machine shop with CNC machining, can still produce a robot that can compete at that same level and still do really well.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you could tell your younger alarm self one thing, what would it be?
That's a great question. I would say just, you know, enjoy every moment of it, right? I mean, it's kind of cliche, but the reality is, you know, I look back and it's not just my younger alarm self, you know, I look back at all my past experiences when I was a kid and, you know, I was so thankful to my parents and for having these opportunities, whether it be part of the robotics team or, you know, being at summer camps and things like that, that have helped round me to who I am today. And, you know, the friendships that you guys build on these teams, they last for a long time. You know, I mean, I'm still friendly with several of the founding members, one of which is also still a mentor on the team too. And, you know, we touch base all the time, you know, and sometimes him and his wife and my wife will go out for dinner together. And, you know, now he's got a kid about the same age as my kid. And it's, you know, it's one of those things where these friendships that you guys have right now don't end tomorrow once season is over. You know what I mean? These are friendships that last a long time. And the other thing that builds off of that too is the professional world, whether it be you guys go into engineering, healthcare, or any other field for that matter, marketing or anything like that. The connections, the people that you meet through First and through anything in life, it's all about who you know rather than what you know, right? Obviously, what you know is important, but if you know the same amount as Joe Schmo, but Joe Schmo has more connections than you do, he's going to get the job before you do, right? And what a perfect way to network and find new people in the communities and everything than at competitions. And, you know, part of the whole concept of going around and scouting out teams and such is also meeting people from different teams to build those friendships.
Kind of building on that, what would you say are like the most valuable skills or lessons you learned from robotics that you can like apply in your career now?
I would probably say the biggest one really is when you're under pressure, stay as calm as you can, right? In my current role as a clinical nurse educator, I also cover for our code team at the hospital too. So I get paged for the sick of the sickest patients in the hospital. You know, I could be sitting at my desk doing desk work, and then the next thing I'm doing compressions on a patient to save their life, that kind of thing, or pushing life-saving medications. One thing I have always seen ever since I have worked in the healthcare is when there's a sick patient in the room, the atmosphere of that room is going to be to the level of craziness and chaoticness of whoever is the craziest person in that room. If everyone stays calm and collected and works together as a team, you're going to have the best outcomes possible. And that same thing can be applied to the robot, right? Like back to that analogy before where, you know, your robot with the IV tubing is your electrical wiring and the metal is the bones of the patient, right? Same exact thing. If the robot during competition breaks down, it does no one any good if you have somebody running around like a headless chicken in the pit. If anything, that's leading to a bad thing happening, and God forbid somebody gets hurt. You know, same thing applies in an emergency situation in the hospital. If everybody's running around the room, the next thing you know it, you're elbowing your partner in the face and they're passing out by accident. You know, you got to just stay calm and work through step by step. At the end of the day, you guys are the ones that built this robot. You know it inside and out, you know, and that troubleshooting is only effective when you're calm and can think it through.
I know you talked a little bit about like working with your dad, Coach John, but were there any other mentors or teammates that you think like significantly impacted your experience?
The first one that comes to mind is honestly one of the ones that I was just mentioning about how he's got a child about the same age as my son, and his name is Jake Hall, and him and I have always been good friends. And, you know, he and I would always joke, like, I remember, and I'm totally going to butcher your name and I apologize. Datri, is it? I said that right? When you were emailing me at 3, 4 in the morning, I'm like, what is wrong with this team? I thought Jake and I were bad pulling the all-nighters. You guys at least have the advantage that you have no deadline anymore. We had deadlines. And I said, what's that? I had sent a screenshot of our the timestamps on the emails over to Jake. I'm like, dude, I thought we were bad. Is this team being sponsored by like a coffee shop or something?
I think that's
like
just her.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it's just her.
No offense at all. I mean, I'm that's fair. I don't sleep much either, as you guys have probably figured out by now, because I work. I think when you emailed me, I had literally just gotten home from my shift when you emailed me. And so I emailed you back, and I was not expecting to start a whole email chain going back and forth. But no, I mean, honestly, I think it's, yeah, Jake and I, like the two of us, we got along so well. He was more on the software side, and I was more mechanical side. But it was him and I just, we could read each other's minds, you know, and it was, I could literally sit there and explain to him what I want happening with the mechanics. And he could turn around and say to me, well, I don't know if the software will allow that, you know, and we could troubleshoot it together and work it through. And so, yeah, I mean, him and I, we still keep in touch to this day, you know.
That's awesome.
That's great. Well, yeah, that's great. So, what qualities do you think really make a team special? And what qualities do you think Alarm embodied during your time?
I think the biggest thing is really the team camaraderie, right? The always, you know, you have to treat each other like family, right? You may not get along with every single person on the team, but at the end of the day, you have to come together for a common goal. And that common goal is to produce an amazing robot, right? And I think that's embodied by the name of the team, Alarm. I'm going to turn it on to you guys. As a founding member, I know damn well what it stands for. Do you guys know what Alarm stands for?
Yeah.
What does it stand for?
A lot of awesome robot makers.
Exactly. And I think that motto really it speaks for itself, right? I think the team as a whole, it's a lot of great people that come together. You may not like each other, but you got to work with each other. And at the end of the day, it's okay to agree to disagree, but you're still a team, and that common goal should be to make a robot that's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, most importantly, always have fun, right? I mean, you guys are all in high school at this point, and you know, you guys have so much ahead of you in terms of career, life, everything. The robotics should be a time where you can let loose a little bit in a good way, in terms of be safe about it, obviously, right? In terms of like, you guys are working around heavy machinery, so don't do something stupid, but don't take things too seriously, right? Just enjoy every moment that you're going through and be able to just enjoy it all. Because before you know it, you know, the year is going to come to an end. Competitions are going to come to an end. Next thing you know it, you're going to be in your senior year, and you're going to be applying for colleges and moving on to that next step. High school is going to be at a blur in your mind. You know, this is one of those times where you really truly can learn so much, and under guidance and supervision of so many people that want to see you succeed.
Yeah. I know you talked a little bit about like making connections and how important that is. Do you have like any examples of how like your networking through Alarm helped you?
So for me, it never really helped me directly with the connections. Unfortunately, when the team was founded, when I was part of the team, unfortunately, STEM never really included healthcare into it.
Yeah.
That has since changed, right? I think there's now been more of a focus on including health sciences into that. At the time, I tried to apply for scholarships for my BSN programs, so Bachelor's of Nursing, and I was rejected from them from first because they're like, this is not a science class. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a Bachelor's of Science. It's a BS. What are you talking about? It's not a science. It literally says science in my degree. And I fought with them on it and ultimately never got any scholarships from it. But fortunately now a lot of that has changed, whether it was my push for it or others stepping up and saying, hey, this has got to change. But for the good, it's changed, right? And, you know, unfortunately, because of that, and when I was in it, I never really got those connections into nursing fields. However, that being said, I have been able to provide those connections for others that were on our team, right? One of the past members, Sam, I forget her last name off the top of my head, who's a nurse now, had interviewed me for a senior project of hers, and seeing how it transitioning from being a student nurse to a new grad nurse into a nurse that's got several years of experience. I also have been able to help the girl Abby, who I was talking about, who's doing residency. She reached out to me to write a reference for her for med schools. So it hasn't helped me directly, but I've been able to provide support for others.
That's really awesome. So I guess this question you kind of answered this question, but how do you see how do you see the field of robotics sort of evolving, and like how can current members like take advantage of that?
So you're talking about the team aspect or robotics in general?
Like robotics and STEM.
So yeah, honestly, you're seeing robotics in everyday life everywhere you look nowadays, right? I remember when I think it was our second year competing at BU, they had I don't know if you guys have heard of the Da Vinci surgical robot, but they actually had that brought into the arena, and they actually had where you could play around with it a little bit, and so that's a direct example of healthcare involvement of robotics, right? That's probably the most well-known healthcare robotic aspect. My wife used to work at Boston Scientific, and they develop robots on a regular basis, and one of my departments I used to work in was interventional radiology, and you're threading these wires through this patient's vein and watching as you're doing the procedure on a live x-ray in front of you, so like it may not necessarily be robotic per se, but you're learning how to use your hands in a different way that you're not used to, right? I kind of do it on a regular basis bedside with my patients when I'm starting IVs. Eventually I'm going to be getting trained to do ultrasound guided IVs. So it's one of those where you're looking at a screen in front of you and your hands are to your side and you're not looking at your hands, and you're watching the needle getting threaded into the vessel while looking the opposite direction of where you're actually manipulating everything. So it's skills like that you definitely can carry through into real world. I think the designing of robots and the mechanical knowledge that you guys are learning, as well as the software aspect of it, that's more directly impacted if you guys decide to go into an engineering field. But there's so much to be learned from being on this team.
Right. I don't think we have anything else, you guys.
Oh, actually, I have one more. So looking back on Alarm, do you guys have any like major challenges that you guys faced as a team, and how did you overcome those challenges?
In the early stages of it, I would say even actually not even necessarily the early stages, more until we got to Franklin, where we are now in the little schoolhouse there. The biggest challenge that we always had was we never knew where the team was going to be housed year after year, right? The first few years of the team, we started off in a garage of one of the head founding members' parents' house, right? It was a 3-car garage that we got started in. And we were in there for about 3 to 4 years, and then we had to find another place. So we found a new home and moved into that home. We were there for maybe 2-3 years. Then we were homeless again. Found another place. Was in there for a couple of years. Then we were homeless again, found another place, and then that building was about to get torn down, so we had to find another place. So it was a lot of jumping around to find a permanent home. And then when the town of Franklin opened up with this opportunity where they wanted to have the team come, it was incredible to be welcomed into a town that not only wanted us, but also supports us in such a great financial way that as students, you guys don't necessarily see it from the financial side of it, but a lot of like our major overhead expenses are covered because the town just donates it, right? And that's allowed us as a team to have a permanent home that we can call home. You know, I think for the longest time we've struggled finding that home. And I think it's nice to know that it may be small and cozy, but we have a home.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, does anyone have any other questions?
No.
You have any questions for us?
Well, I think I'm good. I mean, I look forward to meeting you guys all in person at some point.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's been a while, but
see us at the shop soon.
I was hoping possibly tonight, but it's looking like I have to be home with my son. But I might try and swing by there next week on Wednesday.
Okay.
I think is my next free time that I have. But yeah, no, I definitely look forward to meeting you guys. Right, it's also a mentor meeting tonight. So, but yeah, probably next week on Wednesday is when I'm planning to try and get out there.
Awesome.
Definitely flexible. Yeah, but feel free to reach out, guys, if you have any other questions. Obviously, you can reach out to me at 3 a.m. That's not a problem. But also, if you guys, as a whole, if any of you guys are interested in healthcare and not necessarily going into engineering, happy to help out with that too. If you have questions on that, you can always reach out.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Absolutely. Sorry again for the delay and trying to find parkings.
Don't worry about it.
All righty. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.
All
You
right,
too.
bye.
Thank you.